Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Marlies. So Marlies, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Marlies.
Can you tell us your full type, please, Marlies?
My type is INFP, double feminine, consume, play, sleep, blast.
Gotcha. And what did you think and how did you feel when you got your results back?
I actually wasn't too surprised because I thought I was an INFP for quite some time. On the standard Myers-Briggs questionnaires, I also got ISFP. So when I got into OPS, I immediately thought I was INFP. But I think I consumed a little too much because at the end I thought maybe like INFJ, ENTP, I didn't really know anymore. So I wasn't too surprised actually. But I felt a bit deceived by myself.
Yeah. I think it's a classic case of like, I forgot the saying, but like, if you overthink something too much, you will change your mind. It's like, when you do like an exam and there's like a multiple choice and then you change your answer, or like yeah, or like they say if you look at your like name long enough, you might think the spelling's wrong, like so it's something like that.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
I think so too. I did that as well with the tests when I was younger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't the right. Yeah.
So before we started the interview, I mentioned that you look very much like Emma Watson, which is almost the same type as you except consume sleep. What do you think about that? Like you said before that you do get that sometimes, like.
You mean what I think about looking like Emma Watson?
Yeah, and then it's like oh, I kind of look like her, and then you got this like similar type. You're like, what the,
Yeah, I know. Well, I actually I have these like low eyebrows, and a lot of like ENTJ or EJ girls do have those low eyebrows as well.
Yeah.
So I thought I was more similar looking like them. So yeah, I don't know, I was surprised, but I also wasn't. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's true, right? I do see that, like the ESTJ kind of eyebrow. Yeah, you kind of, yeah.
Yeah, actually, someone from the class, she asked if she could see my video, and she also thought I was an ESTJ because of the looks and stuff. So yeah.
Well, I think your face looks like Emma Watson, but I think maybe the eyebrow is the ESTJ's eyebrow. So, but
Right.
it's the same function stack, right? So of course you're gonna be borrowing different attributes from different types, right?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let's go over your parts. So the first one that I can tell that was super obvious was your feminine SI. You seem to have trouble recalling like factual memory. Can you talk about having feminine SI and how you personally experience it?
It sucks. No, I think it has a lot to do with my blast as well, because I noticed that I don't remember facts quite a lot. Like I forget names, I forget. If you would ask me like, what did you do last week? I would like really have to like dig into my brain for the answers. So I knew that, and I also like noticed that I'm very visually. My memory is very visual. So if people like talk too fast or to make a lot of steps in their talkings, then I have to like visualize every step they're talking. So that makes it difficult sometimes. Yeah.
Oh wow, your visualization is SI also. It's not like flashes. It's like
No,
step.
it's like, yeah, it's like I do it with intuition, but I make it visual. So the links I make, if
Right.
you know what I mean. I don't know, yeah.
Let's talk about the links then that you make. So you have masculine, extrovert, intuition. Can you talk about that for a bit and like all the possibilities that you see?
Yeah, I do notice I see a lot of possibilities. And that is also something, like it has good points, but it also had like the bad things. Like I noticed that I have to, yeah, I go through so many possibilities that at the end I don't know anymore which option to choose. But at the same time, I am pretty good at communicating with people who are like processing their feelings, for example, because I can like change their perspective on how they're feeling. So I noticed that as well. So that is an advantage. Yeah.
Do you feel like when you communicate with people, you heavily rely on that play because you have it as a savior? So is that like your go-to for like communication, presentations, and just in
I
general?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I guess so. I worked, now I don't have work, but before I worked as a policy advisor. And well, part of the job is that you write policies and you also implement the policies. But like implementation and like, I really noticed that when I had to like lead a project with people in the meetings, I would really depend on the play. And at the end of the meeting, I was like, okay, so what did I actually like structure from the meeting? Because it's really hard for me to like manage stuff when you lead with play so much, I guess. So yeah, the TE is there, the NT play, but the SI is missing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, your type is going to be like double scattered because of like double activated NE and double activated consume. Why don't we talk about your consume then, since we're in this topic of like being scattered? Your consume is double masculine and it's NF. How do you personally experience that double masculine NF consume?
I'm still trying to process that because the masculine FI was really not that obvious for me, but I think maybe that's like an unconscious thing. But I do think I have like these like core values in my FI that I wasn't really aware of, and I'm processing that now. So I'm not really sure how to consume is like influenced by that. I do know I consume a lot. I like to consume. For example, I like to watch like movies with a lot of people, so I can like watch their emotions or something.
Yeah.
That kind of consume, or consuming like OPS theory. But I'm not sure how the double masculine is like the influence there. But maybe you know, I don't know.
Well, I do remember interviewing an ISFP girl, and she said that that she likes being around like a lot of people. And there's something about being around a lot of people that's like fun for her. So I can see you enjoying watching movies with people.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird with IPs sometimes because IPs are very extreme when it comes to people stuff. Like they either like go all in on avoiding people or go all in and like being with people. And it's quite an interesting how that works. So you look like you seem like you're the kind of person that like goes all in with like being with people.
No, I
You
have
avoid
very
people then?
specific. Sorry?
So you're the one that avoids people then?
I don't know. I have like very specific people that I really like trust and like,
Yeah.
and that I'm not like scared of like tribe issues have with.
Okay.
Then I will can be all in on you. But in general, no. But I do like group settings because then it's not like so focused on you. So I can like play around a little and it's not too much of focus, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about like close friends. I'm talking about like just the presence of others. So that's why when you mention group setting, you know, it's like the presence of others is kind of
Yeah.
I don't know. It's nice,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's fun.
So it's
Yeah.
yeah. So you said that you don't like to be the center of attention, which is kind of interesting because the way IPs are described is you want to be the one the king or the queen, you know,
Yeah.
of the show. And then the way it's described is like if you're like an extroverted IP, then it's more like you're shouting at people to look at you, you know. But if you're like an introverted IP, then it's like you're like in the distance and you're getting people to come to you, you know.
Mhm.
So do you relate with that sentiment? You're more on the introverted side, but like you're not super introverted, you're more like an ambivert, but like you're in the introverted side slightly. Do you relate with that sentiment where like you're trying to get people to like come to you?
I do relate to that sentiment. Yes. The more introverted sides. I also don't really like I have like this, I don't know what's called, like this I hate people who like do feel like they're the center of attention. So it's like the paradoxical me projecting them probably, but yeah. So I put it more on myself. I think the pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's projecting because like I have some INFP friends who like complains about other people who's like they're like the other people are like fighting for attention. I'm like, I feel like you're projecting yourself, like, so
I
it
know.
could- yeah, so it could
I
be
know.
that. Yeah, you could be right.
So how do you experience that as an ENFP?
What like the people think, like attention and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't need to be the center of attention, but it kind of just sometimes it does happen by accident. Like I just become the center of attention. But I mean I get uncomfortable if I want to be the center of attention, but I don't want to be the only one that's the center of attention. Like I want to be co-center of attention with like other people. I don't know if that makes sense,
I
Yeah.
think so, yes. It's like
Yeah.
shared responsibility.
Kind of, but I also notice if someone's like an introvert and they're like hiding in a corner, then I try to bring them up too.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I don't know if they like it or not, but I just feel like everyone's opinion needs to be heard, like ARCs, like you can say. What's that?
So do you then like fill in for them how they feel, or what is like?
Well,
I don't know.
so I think a lot of introverts have good opinions, but they kind of shy away from it. Like, so they don't want to say anything, especially the last ones. And I feel like, okay, your voice needs to be heard too, because you have your own opinion, and your life's gonna be worse if you don't say anything. So you should say something, because like your opinion also matters. So it's like I'll use my girlfriend as an example. She's like and she doesn't say anything, and like she only does like the crackhead behavior when she's with me. But the moment we go to public, she becomes a mute, right? So I thought that she was an extrovert at first, because when I met her, she's like so extroverted. But turns out only because she felt so comfortable with me that she can do that. But then I noticed that when we go in public or like we're socializing with other people, she's like a mute. She doesn't say anything. She just sits there like a rock. And I'm like what the hell? Yeah. What's
Help
that?
me be the center of attention. No.
Yeah, but she's an IJ though, so it's a little bit different. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I do recognize myself in that. Like, I can be a freak around my boyfriend, but like in public, I'm like, shh, don't speak too loud because people are hearing us and stuff like that. So I do relate to that. Yes.
Oh, I see. I guess you're a little bit weird with people then. Yeah. Yeah, because like for me, it's like if people can hear us, I'm like, I don't care, let them hear us. Like what are they gonna do?
Yeah. And my boyfriend will shout that sentence. I don't care if people hear us. He's like, and I'm like, oh no.
Is he like maybe he's a double decider, doesn't care about like, not afraid of people.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think maybe he's like in that. We actually think he's like a ST IP. I don't know. We're still figuring out. It's really weird to have like two IPs together, but I can't process what type else is. So.
Well, I used to think it's weird, but then as I do these interviews, like I've interviewed like a couple before separately. I didn't even know they were a couple, and then until like one of them told me later on. So like it's like an INTP and ISTP couple. I was like, oh, what the heck, And I'm seeing also like friendships between like different IPs. Like I interviewed two different IPs recently. Like one is an INFP, one is an INTP. And then they messaged me privately. They're like, hey, can you interview us? We're best friends. I'm like, what? Two IPs are like best friends? But it seems like you need to be like slightly different. Like you can't be the same type. Like it cannot be like two INFPs. It has to be like, let's say one INFP and like one INTP or something. Like it has to be like TI and FI or something.
Yeah, I think so. That's why I think my boyfriend is ST, because he's like the IP in the ST world, and I'm like owning the NF world. So we're like, but it's funny because as an IP, like the standard, like the standard images that you both want to be like great. I don't know. It's called like be the best, but then you're in a relationship and both want to be best. So that's like like contradictive, but maybe it will work if they both tell each other that they're the best.
I think like FI and TI are quite different in this case, and even the INTP and ISTP are quite different, because I think the extrovert sensing and extrovert intuition and the introvert sensing makes like a huge difference. Like the one thing I notice is like people with extrovert sensing tend to be more competitive because they're like looking at like other people's like sensory, like who looks better, who's faster, who's stronger, like that kind of stuff. But people with like SI tend to be like, I just want to be my best self, how can I be my best self, so there's like that difference. And then also I noticed with TI and FI, TI from what I've seen has like a tendency to want to be like the best, well, like FI has tendency to be different, so it's like standing out in like in their own way. So you have FI and it's masculine. Do you feel like you have that need to be very different, very unique and original?
I wouldn't say I have that need, but I think it's just my program to not like think anything, like to think to be different. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be different, but I feel like I use my values so much that makes me stand out because I'm like pickier in what I want or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, maybe it's just easy for you to express those values. I don't know.
Could be, yeah, could be. But they're like really the values are very like general or core like. I was like processing like I always thought of FI as like I like dogs and I like cats and I like travel, but I feel like my values are much more like understanding each other or like being like self-reflective or self-development. So I don't know. It's like not that conscious or not that sensing like, I don't know.
I think your value seems to be a like decider-ish like value. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, well, let's talk about your sleep next. Your sleep is SF. So SF cool sleep. Your sleep is third. So I guess your processing doesn't happen till later on. So you do like the consume first, the play, and then finally like that's when the internal processing happens when it comes to your identity. There's different dimensions to SF sleep. Let's talk about the first one first. Let's talk about your emotional processing. Like, how do you personally experience that emotional processing? When you're trying to process your feelings and whatnot.
I'm having a really hard time seeing that actually. So I don't know. Like, can you like give an example of what that should look like? Like,
sure. Okay, maybe I'll give you an example, like with me and my girlfriend then. So sometimes we would have like a tense situation where we would get in a fight or an argument. And long time ago, I would just try to be TE. Okay, I'm like, okay, let's not talk about this feeling stuff. Let's just get the stuff done first, and then we can talk about the feelings later. But like the longer we date, the more I realize how important it is to, set aside a little bit of time just to like talk it out first before we do that TE stuff. Especially if there's like bad feelings. So for me, I've been working on like speeding up the FI because like I'm sleep class, right? So what I notice is like the moment I start feeling bad about something, I have to retreat right away, and I have to think, okay, I feel triggered. I might not know why, but I do feel triggered. So I have to like pause for a second, and I have to go inside and be like, okay, why do I feel triggered? What was like what happened? And I have to like think, okay, so when this word was being said, it made me feel triggered. And I go even deeper. I'm like, okay, what about this word that triggered me? Like, what is the exact feeling, And usually it's always the same now, actually, I've noticed, like for me, because I've narrowed down like things that would trigger me. And for me, it was like, oh, I feel like I'm being disrespected, or something, So then I'll talk to her about it. And then we're good. Because like, you should, I think in any relationship, the most important thing is communication. And if you don't communicate your feelings because you don't want to hurt someone, I think it's only going to make the situation worse for both of you. So you should talk about it, as soon as possible. And actually, if you talk about it like sooner, then you'll have like a lot of small, uncomfortable talks as opposed to like a big blow up, which I think is better, Yeah. So that's what I mean by like sleep processing. That's how I
you did some work there.
Sorry.
Seems like you did some work there.
Yeah, it was not definitely not something that did not come easy. It was something that I had to work on. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about I had like the tendency to be like a bit like passive aggressive. So I wasn't at first I wasn't really aware of that sleep, I guess. I knew something triggered me, but I didn't want to speak it like out loud with my boyfriend. So I like ignored him a bit and stuff like that. But I actually found out like pretty early in the relationship that it was like easier to just tell him what triggered me and what words so he could understand. And then it was actually solved. So now, yeah, it's very natural for me to do that, I guess. I also cannot not do that anymore because, well, sometimes maybe, but I feel like it needs to get out because, or else the situation get worse, like you said, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh my God. I think the worst case scenario is like dating someone that's like feeling at the bottom, because like they're triggered, but they don't even know what they're triggered because the feeling's in the bottom. So
I know. Oh my God.
yeah, I'm like, oh my God, that's like a nightmare for, because like, you know, in relationships, you have to talk about your feelings, right? For it to, you know.
Yeah, well, they can both ignore it, like, and then have a happy life together. No.
Yeah, no, I think he's gonna come back. It's not gonna, just because
Yeah.
you just put it under the rug doesn't mean it's not there, you know.
Eat them alive.
Yeah,
No, I don't know. I can't even like imagine. Like my relationship is so focused on the communication. For me, that's so important in my relationship that I can't even like imagine how a relationship would be like if you don't do that. But maybe I get easily triggered as well, so that could be a factor, right?
yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
the
it's
eyes
possible.
are easily triggered.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I don't, I'm only talking to you right now, but maybe if I know you longer, I would be like, oh yeah, Marlies gets triggered so easily. I'm just kidding, I don't know, but like, um, but you know, who knows? It's hard to say. Like being triggered is very subjective too. You know, what triggers one person doesn't trigger another. So, you know, it's one of
That's
those
true.
like, it's
Yeah.
one of those situations. Yeah. I mean, you're an IP, so you probably have a higher tendency to get triggered by like people related stuff. But for me, I'm more likely to get triggered by things, you know. Like when I actually see myself like getting really angry, it's not really with like people stuff. Like I do get mad with people stuff, but you know, it's usually something that involves like objects, you know. Like if I'm driving and the grocery spills over the floor, like from the back seat or something, or if like I can't,
That's not nice.
yeah, or can't find any paperwork, you know, or like I'm late for like an appointment, like, and then I can't find my credit card to pay for my parking for, you know, it's like something like that, you know, like it's like stupid stuff like you know, that an EP would.
I get a little bit triggered by that as well, actually, but I think that's because of the SI and I lose everything in the house. I'm also like a bit of a chaos monkey in that case. But that's right, because I have like I'm a bit more balanced in the observing and decider.
Yeah, you are, but your
Yeah.
ST last also, so the getting things done part is could be also like a triggering area. Maybe not the worst though, still like probably the TE at the bottom, you know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But getting
Well,
started is hard as
what
well.
so we're in this topic. Why don't we talk about TE then? So TE is your biggest weakness as an INFP.
Mhm.
It's also feminine TE, and it's also tied to your worst animal, which is blast, ST blast, and your blast is also double feminine, so it's like the worst possible combination. Like, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just gonna say you probably know this already.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, what kind of struggles have you had with that, like double feminine ST blast and also TE at the bottom, and like what kind of tribe problem like issues do you have as a result of that?
um, Good question. Well, I feel mm, like I mainly like experience it in work, I guess, like working, um, and then by that I mean like project managing or yeah, just delegating tasks. I've always find that hard. Um, yeah, I can't even blast. I can't blast about blast.
The irony. Just kidding.
Well, I wrote something down. Maybe I can look at that. So yeah, I think yeah, it's for me. It's really about I know I cannot get to a point I want to go to. It's like you unconsciously know that you haven't like organized your thoughts well enough. So, but you just don't know how to do it all the time. So yeah, that just leads to problems in communication and not knowing where to start, which person in my company I should like reach first, or yeah, it's just like the not knowing what to do first, I
Right.
guess. Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, I mean, do you write your blast down and then just like read off the paper? You know, because that
Yeah,
seems
I have to.
yeah.
I have to. First, I have to organize my thoughts. And yeah, I really have to write down also the like an agenda or the questions I specifically want to be answered by people, or else I will just like float in like around and will never get to
Yeah.
the answer.
Yeah, that is triggering for the tribe when the person's like
Right.
what are you trying to say? Can you get to the point? You know, and then like you're need consumed and you're like, and then here, and then here, and then here. And people are like, what's going on? You know?
I know. I read this word on the internet and it said like ST less is like a word salad. Or like it literally feels like a word salad. Like you have all these like things I consume, but I just cannot get it out.
Yeah.
It's really weird. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because I bet like blast people know a lot of stuff. They just don't know how to say it. You know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating sometimes.
Or you could argue maybe they don't know as much as they think they know because they can't even explain it. I don't know. It's just
Right, but that's also like the fear I have, you know? So
yeah.
the fear is like the tribe thinking I don't know because I can't get it out. So
Right.
If you just tell me that first thought and I'll be fine. But my worst case scenario is to try thinking that I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm curious. So if you're ST last, so it seems like ST is correlated with competence and NT is correlated with like intelligence, I guess you could say. Do you feel like with ST at the bottom, do you feel some insecurity about your competence level, or is that something that you don't feel insecure about? Like you feel like you're fine with it?
I think I do feel some problems with that. But like, yeah, I do think I'm feeling a bit. I just not so much confidence in myself, I guess. But I'm not really sure in which like areas that is. It's mostly in like talking, communication. Yeah, I think so. I'm also really not a competitive person. I hate competition, so that's also something. Yeah.
You hate all competition. What if it's like a game? Like not like sports, but like just a game or something.
I'm not really a game lover, actually.
I see.
No. I don't know why, but I've always except for specific kind of games, but in general, I don't really like games.
So you don't like playing like board games or anything, or like those like group games that people play, like charades or something, or
Well, I do have to. I mean, I have friends who really like to do games, so I do have to play games. But it's not like I'm like tonight we're going to play games. I'm not like I'm kind of person.
I see. Okay. Well, what do you prefer to do then?
Yeah, I know. I prefer to like just have some drinks and like talk to people. It's much more in the talking, the goofy. I don't know. It's like playing games like too much thinking and too strategic for me, I guess.
Don't worry. That's interesting that you say that because you're lead NT, right? So like being strategic and figuring things out is something that technically would come natural.
Yeah, but also a lot of games go with like the SI kind of part of games. So it's also a lot about, at least in the Netherlands, the games we play, it's a lot about remembering things, places, people.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, that's
I
true.
don't remember that shit. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's not the right game for like a feminine sensory person. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's unfair almost. I wonder what game you can play with like masculine NE or something. Like you can, then no one can beat you.
like chess or something, or I don't know. Yeah, games like that. I do like games like that. So
Yeah. Let's talk about your sexual modality. So earlier in the interview, you were talking about like your visual memory and it's like step by step. Let's talk about your tester side now. Let's talk about the sense of smell, which is also taste. Like, do you have a very like sensitive sense of smell, and you're very good at? I
I
don't
do.
know.
I didn't even realize that that was like a part of it. I did read sometime, but oh my god, yes. I have the smell thing. I really do. Yeah, it's like not often, but when I smell something, it's like pretty intense and also like takes me back to like memories and stuff. So I do also have that. Yes. But how can smell, because it's like a learning style, too, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
how is smell a learning style?
I think it's good if you're like someone that works with plants maybe, or if you like to cook or something, because I think you would have a you would know like just the right smell or the right taste, you know, because like let's say you're collecting like flowers or something, like you would know like, okay, these are the right fragrance for the flowers. Or if you're like, I think it's
Right.
really good. I think it's really good for like people who cook. Like Gordon Ramsay is like visual, right? But if you're a visual, you still a tester, right? So like you're a visual tester, so you know like you would have like that keen sense of smell, so you would know like which way the food would taste best, you know. So
That way. All right. Well, good to know.
yeah, I mean a lot of tester people get like really weird about like their tester. It's kind of funny in a funny way. Like I remember interviewed this one person who like smelled their plate or like other people's plates. I don't know, something really weird. So, but I think that's more, maybe that's
Yeah,
more
yeah.
extrovert sensing. Maybe it's like I need to smell it. Like I noticed with the introvert sensing tester, they have like their favorite sense, but like people with extrovert sensing, they're like, I have to smell it even if it smells bad, and I'm like, because they have to explore.
Oh my god. Yeah, yeah. But I see that now. Yeah. Because but I do feel like I can't remember like, but I don't know if that's like related to it, but it's like I have to smell it like the same thing like new every time. Also,
Yeah.
if I like know how a perfume, for example, when I had a certain perfume in the past, like I can't really remember the smell until I smell it again, and then I'm like, oh my god, it was that smell. But I can't like memorize it. I feel like so. Yeah, that
Well,
makes sense with the testing part, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know if you heard of this test where like they got like a bunch of women to smell like different t-shirts, and they always knew like the smell of like their boyfriend or their husband. Do you have that too? Like you know?
I do, yeah, I do. I always like smell like my boyfriend's. I go like in his neck and I need to smell because it just feels comfy. I don't know. I'm like, oh my god, that's my boyfriend, you know?
Yeah, yeah. But that's so animalistic, you know. Like
I
even
know.
even my girlfriend, she's like, "Oh, this smells like you." I'm like, "What do I smell like?" Like she's like you. I'm like, "What?" I'm like, can't describe it, but like she knows, you know. So I'm like, okay, um, you know. So it's like
Like whatever.
yeah, it's like yeah, exactly.
What
I,
is
I
your
think
what is your visual, no, I don't know.
my girlfriend's type. You mean
No, your what is it called? Like
my type?
your masculine, feminine. Like I'm a visual tester and you are an
Audio kinesthetic.
audio kinesthetic, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm all about the sound. Like I'm very sensitive, like super sensitive to sound. And it's even worse because I'm lead play, so I'm very sensitive to words. So I can't relax if there's people in the room because I hear words. I'm like, I cannot pay attention to my own head because I'm picking up all the words, you know. And I have masculine SI, so I hear like the actual sensor words too, you know. And it's
okay, so that's maybe also why you recognize so fast that I had a Dutch accent. Is that
yeah,
why?
yeah, Yeah. It was quick. Like, yeah, at the start before we started the interview, I was like, "Oh, you're Dutch." Like you're like, "How did you know so fast?" I'm like, "I from your
Yeah,
voice." You know.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I don't know all the accents, like, but the Dutch accent is very strong. It's like certain European accents are strong, like Dutch, French, British, German. You're right. Like there's certain accents that are like very strong, but like some of the Eastern European accents, I can't tell. They kind of sound the same. You know.
But at least you do like see differences in the sounds. I wouldn't like know so instantly as you do. But you would also be good with like recognizing songs when they come up. Like people
Yeah.
always ask like, "Do you know this song?" And then the song is playing for like 2 seconds, and I'm like, I don't know. Like I need to hear first like a melody or like a vocal because or else I just don't know what the song is. But maybe
Well,
you
I'm
do.
bad. I'm bad with names. Like I don't remember people's names. Like I always forget people's names actually. And like I remember the person, I just don't remember their name. Like I'll remember your story, but I might forget your name. Like it's that kind of stuff. Like even people I interviewed in the past, like I remember what they look like, I remember what their story is, but I sometimes don't remember their name. I don't know why, because it could be like I'm a double decider. Like somehow the name's not like important. I don't know. um,
It isn't important.
yeah, I don't know, but it can be bad. I don't know. I don't think I've ever offended anyone like forgetting their name, but I'm upfront about it. I'm like I'm probably gonna forget your name. So
Right, that's the best way. Yes.
yeah. Um, all right, cool. So we'll wrap up the interview soon. I'll just have a few more questions for you and then we'll wrap it up. The first question is with TE at the bottom, do you feel like connecting with people through work is something that you seek? Like you wish to collaborate through work with others? Is that something that you seek as a person? Something that you find that you need in your life or want in your life? Or not
Uh,
really? You don't care?
I don't know. It's not really something I seek, I guess.
I guess the work part it's not important. It's more like the personal life is more important.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Okay. So I guess it can go either way. So maybe that pattern or anecdote is not 100% accurate.
I would say I focus on like my personal life, and I would like my job to be as personal as it can be. And then I would like to connect with people through work. So the personal thing is most important, I guess. Yeah.
I see. All right. Do you have any final questions for me before we wrap up the interview?
No, I don't actually. It was nice having you invite me. Thank
Yeah, for
you.
sure. Yeah, happy to have you. So thanks
How
for
long have
coming.
you- I do have one question actually.
Okay, sure, okay.
How long have you been doing this?
Like the interviews.
Interviewing stuff, yeah, and I'm just curious what you do.
My first interview was in 2019. I think it was in January. It was Dave. I interviewed Dave.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. I met him in person, Dave and Shan. Yeah,
Right. Oh,
yeah,
where? Where did
yeah.
you
In
do?
Seattle, they used to do in-person meetups before the pandemic. So yeah, I saw them there. Yeah,
Lucky.
yeah. It was interesting. Yeah, Dave likes stealing French fries from my plate, and 'cause we went to this Mexican place, and then Shan's actually really friendly in person. She's really nice in person. Yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't think she was before?
No, I mean I didn't know her before, you know,
Right. Yeah.
but I think if you meet her in person, you would see that she's very nice. Like she's a very nice person. Like very
Right.
caring. Even though she's like masculine TE, she's very caring. Like I actually saw her like during the meetup. She's like coaching people and stuff. Like she'll have like a piece of paper and like draw diagrams for people, and then
Right.
yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, and I
So that
also noticed like
inspired you.
sorry.
So that inspired you to go on YouTube, make videos.
Well, no, I've thought about it for the longest time already. I just thought that um interviewing Dave would be like the perfect way to start the channel. So which it was actually. Yeah, and yeah, they're definitely interesting bunch. I also learned a lot from that meetup. It was crazy. Like people who are DI are more extroverted than play blast people. Just because they're DI, like they seem to not care. Like the double decider DIs, like the IJs and EPs, were like very extroverted. Like the consume, play, blast, sleep, and like sleep, blast, play, consume. Like they were very extroverted.
So weird.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now you don't know anymore. Now learning gets a lot easier, a lot gets a lot harder actually. If you can't like go on that first hunch you have with someone.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you need a theory, I guess.
I can talk. I wasn't introverted either. I was definitely an extrovert, but I wasn't the most extroverted. The most extroverted person was this ENFP girl that I interviewed a while back. Her name's Elizabeth. If you can see her interview, like
Was
in
she
the,
like a jumper or no?
what's that?
Was she like a jumper?
No, she's consume, play, blast, sleep, masculine, feminine. I think. ENFP. When in that meetup, she was hands down the most extroverted person, and even like the other ENFPs were like saying, "We're like she's very extroverted," like super crackhead extroverted. Like she knows that she's not, she watches that she won't be surprised. Like yeah, I am the most extroverted person, you know. Like she was so extroverted, like she almost seemed like she was consumed last, but she was lead consumed. So it was kind of interesting,
That's interesting. Maybe it's like the environment or something. Like she feels comfortable. I don't know.
I think she just loved the idea of like meeting people who's also into OPS and also into personality, and she was just blowing up. She had just way too much to share, and that's fine. I understand enthusiasm. It's all good, right? So yeah.
Nice to hear.
All right, Marlies. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see
Thank
you on the
you.
group.
You too. Bye bye.